Hi everyone, so welcome to the channel and the hot topic of the fortnight, right, Adani. Okay, so we'll be discussing this topic because it is very important for your PI preparation, right. So they might ask you a question or facts about this, okay, and if you have interest in finance, then obviously this may be one of the question, right. Okay, so let's talk about some facts about the things what is happening. Okay, so this is basically Adani versus Nathan Anderson, right? The Hindenburg report which was reported, right? So till now approximately 110 billions of loss dollars of loss is there, right? So I quote it as 100, more than 100, because the figure is changing a little bit, right? So the last we have heard about it's 118. Okay. So these are the two gentlemen, right? This you already know. This is Nathan Anderson. So first of all, let's talk about what is Hindenburg, right? What is Hindenburg report? Okay, what is the company about? So first of all, this is the allegation they have made on 24th of January, right? Look at the title. Adani Group, how the world's third richest man is pulling the largest con in the corporate history. Very large allegation, correct? Okay. So what is Hindenburg first of all? So it is actually a financial research company. It was founded or established in 2017 by the gentleman, right, Nathan Anderson, who is a certified financial analyst, CFA. All right. And their idea is to make the people aware about the financial stock market disaster. Okay, stock market disaster, which they call as a man-made disaster, right? There is a history behind the name also. Let's not get into that. That's not our concern, correct? So the idea is that there was some man-made disaster. Based on that, they talk about this only. So that's their main motto. Now they have established in 2017, right? And till 2020, when you talk about, so it has targeted about 30 companies since then. Okay, and interestingly, their stocks on average lost 15% on the very next day, correct? I mean, which is actually happening with the group also, isn't it? Maybe more than that, correct? All right, this is about Hindenburg. Now what does the report says? All right, reports starts with this only. Today we reveal the findings of our 2-year investigation. So they made investigation for 2 years, okay, talking to different people, even in the companies, okay, very good positions. And they present evidence about the group, right, which is 17.8 trillion rupees group, correct, the Adani Group, right. So how they have engaged in stock manipulation and accounting fraud schemes over the course of decades, not years, decades. All right. So two main points they have talked about: stock manipulation and accounting fraud. Okay, these are the first two. They'll talk about more also. Now the founder, the man, right, the chairman of the Adani Group, its net worth is $120 billion, right. Interestingly, out of 120, $100 billion were there in the last year, basically, right, adding this amount in the last 3 years only. Okay, how? Largely through stock price appreciation in the company's 7 key listed in the group's companies, 7 key listed companies, all right, which have spiked an average of 819% in the period. So basically 9 times in 3 years, these 7 companies, this listed companies, becomes 9 times of itself, which is very unnatural growth, isn't it? So this is the first point they have mentioned. Now because they have talked to many people, right, so finding are so that's why they talk about this only, that even if you ignore the findings of our investigation and take the financials of Adani Group at face value, its 7 key listed companies has 85% downside purely on a fundamental basis, owing to a sky high valuations. All right. So they are saying that if you don't go with us or go with us, go with the fact, right, and the facts don't lie. Okay, they have also taken substantial debt, including pledging shares of their inflated stocks, or for loans, right, putting the entire group on financial footing, right. 5 of the 7 key listed companies have reported current ratio below 1, indicating actually near term liquidity pressure. Okay. Those who understand finance may be able to understand this, right. Now, this is talking about, they are also talking about the company's previous frauds or the alleged frauds, basically with the company's founder or basically the other members of the family of the Mr. Adani, correct. So, the Adani Group has previously been the focus of 4 major frauds, okay, which basically involves this money laundering, okay. Then theft of taxpayer funds and corruption. 3 major allegations. One is money laundering, then is theft of taxpayer funds and corruption. Also, the most important, they also allegedly cooperated to create offshore offshore shell companies, right, in the countries like UAE, Caribbean island, right, Mauritius, okay. So, basically generating forged import export documentation, right, to give you generate a fake or illegitimate turnover and to siphon the money from the listed companies, right. So, that is what the basics of the previous allegations, right. Now, it also talks about the person's names also, all right. Like his younger brother Rajesh Adani was accused by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence (DRI) of playing a central role in a diamond trading import export scheme around 2004 and 5. Okay, the scheme involved the use of offshore shell companies or entities, which we talked about, to generate artificial turnover. He was also arrested at least twice over the separate allegations of forgery and tax fraud. All right. Also, even after this, he has promoted to MD of the Adani Group. All right. Next, his brother-in-law Sameer Bohra, he was accused by DRI of being the ringleader of the same scheme, same diamond scheme which you are talking about, correct. Repeatedly making false statements to regulators. He was eventually promoted to executive director of the critical Adani Australia division. All right. His elder brother Vinod Adani, he has been described by the media as elusive figure, right. He has regularly been found at the center of government's investigations to Adani or its alleged role in managing a network of offshore entities used to facilitate fraud. All right. Now, they have identified 38 companies which is in Mauritius, right, controlled by Vinod Adani or their close associates, right. So, they have also identified entities that are controlled by Vinod Adani in Cyprus, UAE, Singapore and other Caribbean islands. All right. So, 38 they have identified. Now, many of Vinod Adani's associated entities have no obvious signs of operations, right, including no reported employees, no independent addresses or phone numbers. कुछ नहीं है, हवाएं बनी हुई हैं, that's they are claiming, correct. Okay. No meaningful online presence. Despite this, they have collectively moved billions of dollars into India Adani publicly listed and private entities, right, obviously with different aspects, right, without required disclosure of the related party nature of the deals, correct. Major allegations, correct. Now, they have also filed RTI to SEBI, right, and that also comes from the same, correct. Okay, the investigation is going on and so on and so forth, right. I mean, more than a year and a half after the concern were initially raised by media and the members of parliament. Okay. So, you can see from where it is going on. These are some of the other facts about the same. You can read it on the report itself, right. It is a very long report. So, we do not want to go in very much detail on the same, correct. All right. So, we will provide the link of the report if you want to read the same, correct, in the description. All right. So, what are the 6 major allegations? One is money laundering, then accounting fraud, stock manipulation, corruption, offshore shell companies, and theft of taxpayer frauds. These are the 6 major allegations which are there. All right. Now, what was Adani Group response on the same? All right. So, they stated that this is not merely an unwarranted attack on any specific company, but a calculated attack on India, the independence, integrity and the quality of Indian institutions, and the growth story and ambition of India. So, totally talking about India, not the Adani Group, to be precise. All right. Then the facts. They basically said that selective and manipulative presentation of matters already in the public domain, right, create ignorance or deliberate disregard to the applicable legal and accounting standards as well as industry practice, contempt of the Indian institutions including the regulators and the judiciary. Okay. So, this is the response. They have asked some around 88 questions to Adani Group, right, and on that their response is that not one of the 88 questions is based on independent or journalistic fact finding, right. What they said about this, out of 88 questions, 65 are already in the public domain. So, answer of 65 are already in the public domain. Out of 23 remaining questions, 18 are related to public shareholders and third parties and not to the Adani Group, Adani portfolio companies basically, right. While the balance 5 are baseless allegations based on imaginary fact patterns. So, eventually clear cut answer किसी का नहीं दिया, right. Response to that, right. So, Hindenburg again responded on the same, and they talked about the same things, that none of the answers is there, right. Out of the 88 questions, they just talk about this is there, this is there, this is there, but factual answer कोई नहीं आया हमसे, and other things also, right, which she not need to talk. So, what is the effect of the same? The very first effect, 110 billions of loss as of now, more than that, okay, again keep fluctuating, correct, because of the stock market. Forbes issued one statement after this, right, that there is evidence that the Adani Group likely bought its own shares of $2.5 billion, okay, to make the valuation, basically higher valuation. अपने ही शेयर खरीद लिए हैं. Now, some financial institutions has stopped accepting bonds as collateral for marginal loans, right. And obviously, the most important point, they were launching FPO, but financially eventually they have to call it off, correct. So, FPO launch होने वाला था, वो उन्होंने launch नहीं किया, and Mr. Adani also in fact make the statement on the same, that on moral grounds we are not doing the same because of the fluctuation in the market. All right. All right. So, this is these are some facts about the issue, right. You can dig into more details, but that is not very much required. If you are a financial student, then obviously you can be more prepared about the same. All right. For a general student, it will be sufficient, I guess, correct. Chaliye, all the best. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye bye.